Hello everyone. Now that the switch hit style has been out for a couple of days now, and since a lot of people think this style is kind of overpowered, let's go over some of this style's downsides, because I forgot to mention it at all on my showcase video. Let's first start off with his static ability. This ability will only build up when your opponent dashes, which means your opponent has to be willing to give you your ability. If your opponent rarely dashes, well, it's safe to say you're screwed if you rely on static. Keep in mind that the opponent has to dash 15 times. Yes, 15 times for you to get static. Unless you're fighting a guy who backdashes a lot, you are not getting this ability more than once or twice in a round. If you are up against Switch Hit, and you fight him like you are fighting Bullet, Switch Hit barely gets his special ability. Similar to the way how Bullet barely is able to activate his bullet jabs, static is also pretty mid if you look at it at face value. This inverts your enemy's controls, sure, but after some time, the opponent can get used to this pretty easily. And this debuff does not last long, when you get hit a lot. Technically speaking, if you are not after the inverted controls, you can take advantage of static's other debuff, cutting your opponent's dodge frames and perfect dodge frames in half. With this, your opponent will not be able to double dash away from your attacks, and will have a harder time perfect dodging your attacks. But I'm gonna be honest with you, this debuff is pretty alright at most. As I mentioned before, the enemy can adapt to this pretty easily. That's why for me, I'd rather use static as an escape tool to escape a game-winning ultimate. Next up are his other downsides. Switch Hit has slightly lower base stats. It's funny that I mentioned Bullet, because Switch Hit has Bullet's dashes, and it basically shares the same counterplay as Bullet, which is legit just, don't dash. Switch Hit does have some strong points though, like him being able to switch attack directions, with him constantly switching between Southpaw and Orthodox. Now that we're here, I might as well do a quick review on these two stances. Southpaw is the right stance, this has the faster jab but the slower M2. Southpaw's jab is faster, but it deals less damage. Orthodox is the left stance, this has the slower M1, but the faster M2. Orthodox's jab is slower but it deals more damage. Keep these in mind whenever you are using Switch Hit. There's actually a way for you to switch between Southpaw and Orthodox mid M1. So despite you landing the weaker but faster M1 first, you can switch to Orthodox's M1 chain to deal solid damage. You can see this happen too, when you notice my character's legs switch up during the M1 combo. This is done by throwing Southpaw's M1 first, then leaving a gap between the first M1 to switch to Orthodox. This is a pretty useful tech, so if you want to use it, go ahead. Just remember that if you use this too much, it's gonna make you overly rely on Southpaw's M1, which always comes from the left, which makes it easier to spot and dodge. And yeah, that's about it for Switch Hit overall. This was a follow-up video on yesterday, and I hope this made you know a little bit more about the style as a whole, and hopefully made you know how to use it or maybe even fight it a little. Anyways, that's it from me. What are your thoughts on the style? Feel free to comment your thoughts on the comments section below. And yeah, that's all from me. See you guys on the next one, peace.